Guys, I got some pretty bad news. The babysitter that did some pretty revolting, some pretty gross, some pretty nasty stuff from the last video or a couple of stories ago. I don't know how to say this, but she's back. Enjoy. So the subscriber who sent in the story about the babysitter that he had, right, he actually contacted me after that video went up on the channel, which you guys absolutely loved. Thank you for the support on that video, by the way. And he contacted me telling me that, one of his friends, after the video went up, he told his friend about, like, the video and everything, how he was, like, on the channel. And the friend actually told him about when he had the babysitter, too, back in the day. And, of course, the subscriber was like, oh, was she normal? And the friend told him all about his experience, and somehow the experience was even worse than the original story. So, yeah, with that being said, sit back, relax, I don't know, grab a cup of the orange juice and toast, whatever lovely combination you guys like, and yeah, the crazy babysitter part 2, baby. Let's go. Most of you guys, real quick, most of you guys have seen the first video, but even if you haven't, you don't need to watch it first to watch this one and enjoy it. However, I will link it in the description just so you guys can catch up afterwards. With that being said, let's jump right in. So we're going to call this friend Mike, right? So anyways, Mike, and the subscriber was talking to Mike like not that long ago. And well, actually not that long ago at all, probably like a couple days ago. And he's telling Mike, his friend, about how he was featured on the channel in one of the story videos. And Mike, who lives in this neighborhood, also happened to have that crazy babysitter too. And Mike was like, shoot, like, I actually have a crazy story about that. So yeah, anyways, right, this was years ago or however long ago, right? Mike, his parents, they were going out for the weekend, right? They had something, and it wasn't like a little party or something. It was a full week-long event or a weekend-long event. So Mike, he was probably at this point old enough to deal with like being alone in the house for like, I don't know, like a day or something, or like a night, I should say. But they didn't feel totally comfortable about Mike being alone in the house for the entire weekend. So they decided to hire a babysitter, really just to kind of like chill there, I guess, just to kind of like make sure everything was okay. So Mike was definitely old enough to like not need a babysitter on most occasions. But at this point, right, his parents, he was just not old enough to like have a weekend alone in the house by himself. So anyways, right, Mike knows nothing about this babysitter, and he's kind of just waiting there. I think Mike's like, I don't know, 14 at the time, 13, I don't know, dude. He doesn't really need an age. But anyways, right, he's just kind of waiting for the babysitter. His parents are packing up their, their bags because they're going away for an entire weekend. I don't know what exactly they were doing. I think that there's probably a conference in Florida about like Bitcoin, Miners Anonymous or something. I don't 100% know, dude. Anyways, right, so they're packing up their bags, and Mike's kind of just waiting around. And, the mom is like, hey, I got you a babysitter. I found her on Facebook. Like, she's local, so she should be pretty cool. And like, yeah, like, I mean, I don't know any other babysitters, so I hope she's cool. Well, just call us if there's any problems, right? And let me just say that there were definitely some problems. Spoiler. Anyways, right, so Mike's kind of just, he's chilling, waiting around. Maybe he's playing some Xbox. Maybe he's playing some Minecraft. Maybe he's playing on his, he's playing on his little abacus, right? Solving some quadratic equations on that thing. And, he's just waiting for the babysitter. And, yeah, eventually, the doorbell rings. The dog goes crazy, et cetera, right? Parents come downstairs. They greet the babysitter. They're like, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much. Kind of like standard mom stuff. Like, thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. Oh, like, you're going to have so much. And then, like, turns to the kid. You're going to have so much fun together, guys. You're going to have so much fun together. Let me just say that they, I don't know if fun is the correct word to describe the interactions they had together. But it was, I got a much better word. Eventful. It was very eventful. I can't say fun. I honestly can't say fun, but I can definitely say eventful. So, right, Mike is telling the subscriber that at first, she seemed totally fine. And that was kind of the same case that the subscriber had when he had the babysitter, but she seemed totally fine at first. Like, she seemed pretty cool. She seemed pretty normal, right? Mike kind of felt like he saw her somewhere because, like, she did live in, like, the same area as him. And I mean, that's why Mike and the subscriber are friends. They all live in the same area. He kind of felt like he recognized her from somewhere, but it wasn't like strong enough for him to be like, do I know you from somewhere? It's just kind of like very vague. And, she's in the house. She's saying, hi, Mike. My name is the babysitter. I just don't feel like giving her a name, man. I'm spacey enough. I'm going to forget it. She's like, hi, I'm the babysitter. Mike's like, hey, I'm Mike. Like, nice to meet you, whatever, standard stuff you talk to someone with. And yeah, eventually his parents, like, they got up, they got their stuff packed, and they're like, bye, Mike, call us if you need anything. And then, she also gave, like, the babysitter the number. Standard attire, standard normal stuff. So anyways, right, for the first, I'd say hour or 2 hours or whatever, she was actually pretty normal. She was like, you know what, Mike, like, you seem like you're on the older side, right? I'm just gonna let you chill for a little bit. We'll have dinner in an hour or two. I'll just call you down for that. But in the meantime, like, we can feel free to hang out or something, but it's totally up to you if you just want to go. And Mike was like, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go up and play some Xbox or something. So yeah, Mike went upstairs, played some Xbox, played some, some RuneScape, played some Pong, over the 1970s, like, version of that too. I don't know what he did, dude. But anyways, he's having a good time. And eventually, an hour or two comes down, and the babysitter is like, hey, Mike, like, calls up to him, is like, it's dinner time, right? So Mike, he goes down, and he's having a pretty good night. And let me just say that, Mike should not have come down. He should have stayed up in his room, locked the door, I don't know, maybe gotten away for food and water, maybe, but even that's not totally a necessity when it comes to this situation. He shouldn't have come down, basically. Anyways, right, so, she goes down, and Mike's mom had left out, like, mac and cheese or something. So, she makes the mac and cheese for Mike, and then she pulls out the bag, like a little lunch bag or whatever, and this is where things start to go really, really downhill. Anyway, so, Mike's enjoying his mac and cheese. It was some good mac and cheese, man. It was some really good mac and cheese, and, he's there. He's enjoying it. He's really digging it. He's scooping into the, okay, you understand. Good food, good grub. And, yeah, the babysitter pulls out some food, and, or pulls out her bag, I should say, and says, you want to see what I'm having for dinner, Mike? And Mike's like, yeah, like, okay, lol, like, don't care, but sure, like, whatever. And, let me just say that Mike should have said no. No, I do not want to see. What she does at first seems pretty innocent, right? It seems like pretty, like, I don't know, normal. She pulls out a piece of bread. And there's nothing on the bread. And at first, Mike thought she was just going to eat a piece of bread for dinner. But, like, okay, whatever, man. Like, whatever you want to do. It's totally up to you. A free country, live your life. I don't know. But what she ends up doing, and that's when Mike realized that this was no normal babysitter. This was no normal person that was babysitting him. There was not a normal person in the house, right? She took out the piece of bread. Pretty normal, pretty, nondescript, just piece of bread, right? And what she does, she walks over to the sink. She takes her hand, and she reaches down the sink. And he's like, what the fuck? What? What? Like, in his mind, he's like, what is this girl doing? Has she gone mad? And what she does is, how, like, I don't know if you guys have sinks at home, but, at the sink, like, it kind of, like, you have to, like, every once in a while, like, flush it. Like, you have to flip down the switch and, like, declog it or whatever. Well, at this point, right, the sink had not been declogged in a second. So there was a bunch of, like, grime and gunk and stuff that kind of all congealed at the bottom of the drain, and she just pulled it all out, and the kid, right, Mike, is just like, what? And what she ends up doing, she picks it up and smears it all over the bread. And at this point, Mike's about to puke. Like, this kid has no, like, tolerance when it comes to gross stuff. Which, the same thing that happened in the last story about her, right? She just assumes that the way to entertain a boy is to, like, I don't know, basically just defecate in his mouth. Don't take that out of context, please, please, please. And right, Mike was sitting there, and he kind of thought to himself, well, that's utterly disgusting. The fact I have to look at that. He didn't realize what was happening, right? He didn't fully grasp the situation at hand. Because he just thought that she was going to sit there and just, like, put that on the bread, like, and that's kind of gross. No. No, sweetie, you're wrong on this one. She took the bread, and she bit into it. At this point, right, Mike's about to puke. Poor kid's about to puke. He's about to puke his guts out, which probably would have entertained the babysitter. That wouldn't be a stretch anyways. And she's like, delicious. And she's looking at him like, just entertained another kid. They love me, right? Like, this is so funny. Anyway, so Mike is a little scarred at this point, and I don't know how else to say it, but he's just like, he's going to bed. He's like, nah, I'm going to bed. I'm not doing this, man. I'm not doing this. I'm not paid to do this. In fact, she's paid to do this. That's unfair. I should be paid to witness this. Anyways, right, so Mike goes to bed, but the problem is, right, normally, and especially the subscriber, his first time, going to bed is kind of it's kind of a safety feature. It gets you out of situations. But the thing is, right, this babysitter, she was here for 2 nights. Not 1 night, 2 nights. because the parents were out for the entire weekend, right? So Mike going to bed was just like, I have a whole nother day with her. And, unfortunately, the sun came up the next day. Mike was kind of hoping that, like, a day would just, like, disappear from the calendar. Like, he would just, like, no-clip out of reality for one day and this just magically appear back, into the universe when it was, like, convenient for him. But, unfortunately, no. Reality was, he woke up the next day. The sun was up. 2 days had not passed, unfortunately. 1 day had passed. And, he was greeted by the babysitter when he walked downstairs, right? He was able to actually, able to get away from her for a while. For most of the day, he was able to go upstairs and, play on his Xbox, whatever, until, right, she was like, Mike, I have a fun game to play. Because at this point, right, she wasn't trying to be, like, evil or anything. I mean, that's still pretty debatable, but I think in her head, she's just trying to be entertaining because gross equals funny, like one of those people, right? So she's like, Mike, I have a surprise for you. And Mike's like, no more surprises, please. No, miss, no more surprises, please. No more surprises. And when Mike got down there, she was sitting on the couch, and she had this bag with her. And she's like, Mike, I got a bag of fun. Fun was the wrong word. Speaking of bags, speaking of words, right, today's phrase or secret phrase is bag. So if you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment bag in the comment section. I will try and heart as many of them as I can, as I do want to say like a bit of appreciation for you guys making this far into the video. Watch time's always good. I can't get to all the comments. There's a ton I missed, but I do spend like an hour per day or something, like, combined an hour on the day, just like hearting stuff. So there's a decent chance you'll get a heart. If you want to farm some hearts, comment bag down below. BAG, like the thing you put stuff in. I don't know. And yeah, today is your lucky day. You might be thinking, Connor, why is today my lucky day? Well, let me tell you. Because it's your lucky day. Because every person who leaves a like on today's video will actually receive nothing. I'm not even kidding. If you leave a like on this video right now, you will receive nothing eventually. I'm not scamming you or anything. Leave a like. You'll get nothing. Anyways, right, where we left off, Mike is just like standing there frozen in fear because the babysitter, the gross one, the creepy weirdo one, right, she has a bag of fun. Let me just say that in basically every single world that a bag of fun is normally a bag of fun, right? It's full of good stuff. With this babysitter, though, it is pretty understandable that the kid was pretty justifiably suspicious, to say the least. Mike's just sitting there like, maybe it is a bag of good stuff. Maybe it is fun. Psych, Mike. Stop kidding. Stop lying to yourself, Mike. Come on, man. So she opens up the bag, and the first magical thing she pulls out of the bag, the first thing to entertain him. And entertain is a strange word. I think you mean horrified, terrified, just mentally scar, but whatever, right? The first thing is a pair of dirty socks. And you could, these aren't like socks that like if you like got really close to them and smelled them, they'd smell bad, right? These socks are like brown and crusty and like, no, they're not that type of sock. Shut up. Nope. Don't pollute my comment section. Don't do it. Don't do it, kid. Anyways, right, these were some gross socks. They were probably like, I don't know, maybe like frat basement socks. Maybe she like walked through a puddle of mud with them. Maybe, I don't know. They were bad. She's like, Mike, these are so gross. And he's like, yep, I agree. And she just like takes them up to her nose. She goes, it's just like a massive inhale. And Mike's like, okay. And she's like, don't you want to see what else is in my bag? And Mike just doesn't respond at this point. He's just too far gone. He's too scarred at this point, man. He's a goner. He's done for. No, but she pulls out another bag. And this is like a little Ziploc bag, right? So a little plastic bag. And it has a lot of like little black and brown crunchy things in it. Mike has no idea what it is until he looks closer. It's like a bunch of dead bugs. It's like a bunch of ants and spiders and just a bunch of random crap you'd find around the house, right? And he's like, no, please, no. And then she just reaches into the bag, takes a handful, and just eats them like trail mix, dude. She just eats them like trail mix. At this point, right, Mike's like, all right, thank you so much. I'm not feeling so good. I think I'm going to go to bed early. Goodbye. Dude just shoots up the stairs. The babysitter's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He's probably not. Like, I'm sure the babysitter at this point kind of realized a thing or two. But she's like, oh, okay. Mike runs upstairs. He goes into bed. He's like, oh, I'm not feeling so good. I'm sorry. I might have the flu or something. I think I'm going to go to bed. Kid goes to bed, skips dinner, right? Just is like, nah, dude, I'm not doing that. And next day rolls around. He wakes up. It's the next day. The sun is rising. It's a beautiful sight because that means his parents are coming. Freedom. And, he wakes up. He goes downstairs and his parents are already there. He looks at the clock. It's 12. It's the afternoon. She's gone. She left at 11. And his mom's like, how is that, sweetie? And, Mike, he just didn't want to say it. He didn't feel like explaining it. So he's like, yeah, it was fun. So basically, Mike had never told really anyone about that whole, because he never got a babysitter after that, and he kind of knew that was probably the last babysitter he'd ever get. He'd probably say something if his mom was going to book that babysitter again or something, but he had never told anyone until he retold a subscriber a couple days ago, which is, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. Story would have never been out there, if I didn't make a video and you guys showed a ton of support on it, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Now go click on another video. There's some on screen. Click it. In today's subscriber story, the subscriber had a babysitter over and she caught him. I don't want to spoil it. Enjoy the story. So this all took place when the subscriber was 14 years old. And for most people, that's a little bit too old to have a babysitter. However, the subscriber recently broke one of his parents' rules. He didn't necessarily go into it too that much in detail, but basically, right, he was grounded, and he was grounded for a week. And the parents were going out that night, and they really just wanted to make sure he didn't leave or go out and play with friends because, he was grounded. So they decided as part of the punishment, they would, hire a babysitter. And at first he was pretty humiliated because, a babysitter, in his opinion, at 14, he was definitely old enough to take care of himself. If you had a babysitter at 14, there's nothing weird with that. The subscriber was just pretty mature for his age, and his parents knew he could definitely take care of himself. However, since he was still under their punishment, they hired a babysitter as almost part of the punishment. It was they knew he could take care of himself, but they were as part of the punishment, you're also getting a babysitter on top of that. So to say the least, he was not pleased. Parents were going out to some party or some event or something. They weren't going to be back till 11, 12, 1, probably, he said late in the night, so we're going to say 1 or something. And, the babysitter got there and, the subscriber was upstairs, but he kind of overheard, he kind of went to his door to listen to what his parents were telling the babysitter because he was kind of curious because he was like, okay, how are they going to explain why I need a babysitter, right? And the parents explained to the babysitter, hey, our son's kind of old, but we grounded him recently and we just really want to make sure that he doesn't go out. So under no conditions can he A, go outside, B, have any friends over, and basically just A and B. He can't go outside. He can't have friends over. This is almost like a punishment. It's not just you making sure he's okay. It's you making sure that he doesn't break any of the rules of the grounded of being grounded, right? Because he's still grounded for the next couple days. This was kind of unfortunate for the subscriber because he kind of planned to have a friend over if the babysitter wasn't told. Because he was kind of hoping his parents would just be like, hey, make sure he doesn't go outside and yeah, just watch over him and leave without saying a lot. So then he could just have a friend over while his parents weren't there. And it would be kind of a nice break because he hasn't had a friend over in a while. But no, right, they specifically tell the babysitter, no, he also can't have anyone over. So he's like, yeah, I guess I'm just staying here the night again, which is kind of annoying. But then he thinks to himself, this whole being grounded thing is kind of annoying. He said to me in the DM saying that, what he got, he didn't specify, why he was grounded, but he said it was kind of dumb and, it definitely didn't deserve the punishment that he got. And at the time, he was, really, really thought that the punishment didn't fit the crime, right? So he was like, you know what? This is a Friday night. I want to hang out with my friends, and I'm going to hang out with my friend. He's coming over tonight. And he said, and the subscriber's like, okay, how is this going to work? So the subscriber calls one of his friends and he said, hey, can you come over in a couple hours? And he's like, yeah, sure. It's like, yeah, do you want to play some Xbox? He's like, yeah, of course. And then the subscriber says, hey, by the way, I'm going to need you to sneak in. And the guy's like, why? And he's like, okay, so I'm not technically allowed to have anyone over right now. And he's explains that he's grounded and that he has a babysitter. And his friend's like, dude, why do you have a babysitter? He's like, don't even let me get into it, right? Don't get me started on that one. But he's like, okay, so you got to come over. I want you to come over. And the dude's like, yeah, of course. you got to sneak in. And the guy's like, so I can't just come through the front door. He says, no. And he's like, okay, dude, you're on the second floor. How am I supposed to get there? So he says, okay, outside my window is a very big tree, and it's a tree that's somewhat easy to climb. And the tree is right outside my window. So just climb the tree, and then you don't have to jump, but you have to make a bit of a leap of faith. And the guy's like, okay. And he's like, dude, I've done it before. It's not like an actual jump. It's just like you got to like stretch over. It's not that big of a deal. I'm making it sound a lot worse than it is. Just come over. And the guy's like, all right, fine. Like if it's actually like I can't make it, then I can't make it, but I'll at least come over and try. Pause. Subscribe if you like story videos. Thanks. Anyways, back to the story. Subscriber's just in his room and he has the Xbox with him. Thankfully, like for him, his parents, while grounding him, didn't take away his Xbox, which was a little like strange. Like he definitely expected the Xbox to be something to go. Because if he wasn't able to see his friends or able to go outside, like, okay, but he's able to stay inside playing video games, was like whatever, right? His parents allowed him. He was not complaining, to say the least. So he's kind of just chilling there, you know, he's playing it on his Xbox, and he looks down at his phone, and he's kind of just waiting for, you know, his friend to text him, because his friend was going to, like, send him a text, like, when he was, like, 5 minutes away and when he was, like, actually there. So he's just playing on his Xbox, and he gets a text 5 minutes away, right? So he's just chilling there, he's waiting, and then 5 minutes go by, and he's there. He sends a text saying, hey, I'm here. So the guy, like, pauses his game, and he goes out, and he just, like, looks outside. And he can see, like, at the very foot of the driveway, he sees the friend kind of like looking up and waving. And he like quickly sends him a text like, yo, the babysitter is inside. I don't know if she's looking out any windows. You can't be that obvious. You got to like really sneak in. Don't wave to me. He said that probably in fewer words and faster, but that was the gist of what he texted him, right? So the subscriber, like, or the friend, and let's just call him the friend, right? The friend looks down at his phone, is like, oh shoot, like, right. So he kind of like crouches together, and he kind of like sneaks behind. It's dark out at this point, so he's got a lot of cover by the dark, and he goes to the back of the tree. And the subscriber can't really see if he's successfully climbing or not, because he's climbing on the back side of the tree as opposed to the front side, which obviously makes sense because he's not trying to be obvious, or at least trying to be out of sight as much as possible. So he hears rustling in the tree, and then he eventually sees, like, facing him, like, eye to eye, he sees that he meets eyes with his friend. So he's like, okay, good. All you got to do is just, like, make it to my room. And the friend looks, right? And he looks, and it's a two-story drop, right? He's on the second floor, and he looks down. And all you really have to do is, like, reach over and kind of swing your weight properly to get into the room, because the subscriber ended up opening the window for him to come in, and the dude's like, all right, man, I'm trusting you. As the friend is about to like lunge over to enter into the window, he steps on part of the branch that's like smaller. It cracks and he loses his footing. And the subscriber's like, oh, no. And like all these branches kind of fall down. And he just like looks at the friend regains his balance. And the subscriber looks at him with like shush over, like the finger up to his mouth, like, shh, okay, like quiet. Like, and he hears like the babysitter like get up, and assumes that she looks out the window because like there's a kind of a big crash of like leaves and stuff. She probably want to see if there's like an animal in the front yard or whatever. And he's just like, chill there. And then he hears the babysitter go back to sit back down. He's like, okay, you can come over. So the friend kind of lunges over, leans in, and, you know, gets into the window. And he kind of tumbles in, which is like, it made a bit of a thud. But it like the babysitter didn't come up for some reason. So he was chill with that. So, you know, him and his friend, you know, the whole point of him being there was to play some rounds of Xbox together. So they're playing the game, and, you know, he's kind of always like, he's like, okay, you got to be kind of quiet. Like, if you lose, you can't, like, get that upset, right? You can't be that angry. It's a game, but also I can't have friends over, and if, you know, the babysitter hears someone else, it's going to be suspicious, and she'll definitely walk upstairs, right? So they're playing the game, and there's been a few close calls at this point. Like, he's been like, and then, like, the subscriber looks at him, and he shuts up pretty closely, right? But then they have a really close, like, 1v1. I don't know what game it's on, right? But they have a 1v1, and it's really, really close. The match is really close, but then the subscriber barely pulls through and, like, wins by a hair. And the friend was so like into the game that he kind of forgot, you know, where he was, in a sense that like he's like not supposed to actually be there, and they're secretly playing games. So he kind of like yells out. He's like, but he said, you know, he yells something out, and then the subscriber just looks at him like, oh no, dude, because he yelled really loud and like really clearly. I don't know exactly what he yelled, but he made enough noise and was pretty obviously not the voice of like the subscriber himself. So all of a sudden they just go really quiet because they're like, did the babysitter hear it? She definitely heard it, but does she think that's just me yelling in my own room, or is she coming up? They stay quiet for a second. They listen. And it's about like 15 seconds, right? So they kind of feel like they're in the clear. And they're about to go back to play another round when they hear like bump, 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 steps up the stairs. So the subscriber starts to panic because he's like, this dude is in my room. I can't explain him if he's in my room, right? That's just like, there's no return. Bump, 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 more coming up the stairs. And it's only one flight of stairs. So the guy's like, okay. The subscriber's like panicking, but he's also thinking as quickly as possible. He scans quickly around the room. He's like, okay, under the bed, no, because there like wasn't enough space because there's like a bunch of stuff up there and it couldn't be quick enough. Then he sees his closet. He points at the closet. He's like, fast. The friend knew what he was doing, which is good that the friend was paying attention because he was very quick to it. He saw the closet. He knew exactly what to do. He ran into the closet, closed it, didn't close it too quickly, and they just like waited. And then, 10 seconds later, the subscriber hears a knock on the door. The babysitter's like, can I come in? And the subscriber's like, yeah, sure, come on in. And the subscriber goes up to unlock the door because he locked the door beforehand just so the babysitter wouldn't like rant wildly, let's just like open the door, and they had like no heads up, right? So we unlock the door and the babysitter comes in and she's just like, hey, I heard a noise, like, oh, do you have someone over? You're not supposed to have someone over, right? He's like, yeah, no one's here. And she said, okay, I heard a noise and it pretty clearly wasn't you, right? And the subscriber explains that he was playing a 1v1 and he happened to be on voice call and he just had his volume up really loud so that like the other person he's playing against, like they made a noise when he lost to like the subscriber and it was just really loud. And he said, my fault, like I'll definitely turn down the volume. I wasn't even aware that it was that loud. And the babysitter kind of looked at him and she wasn't 100% convinced, but she looked around the room like really quickly and obviously no one was there, right? And then she sees the window and the window is wide open. And she's like, why is that window open? And the subscriber's like, it's just too hot in here. And thank God that this happened like over the summer. Because if this happened like in the dead of winter or at any other time, right, that open window would be very hard to like explain away. But thank God it was actually kind of hot out. Like it was cooling down because it was night, but it was summertime. So he had an explanation for why the window's open. She kind of looks at him. Everything, like the thing is she's suspicious at this point. But at this point, like there's no one in the room. He explained the noise to some degree. He explained the window open to some degree. But she still feels like that noise actually came from a person. So she kind of looked at him and said, all right, like, just stay out of trouble. Don't have people over. He's like, yeah, of course. So she goes back downstairs. Today's secret word is closet. So if you made it this far into the video, I'd like you to go down in the comment section and comment closet. I just like to see how many people actually made it this far into the video. And I will try and heart as many of those comments as I can find. So like if you want to like farm some hearts and get top commenter, just make sure to comment closet in the comment section. With that being said, back to the story. So the subscriber is just like hanging out for a second. He's giving it like a couple minutes and he receives a text and it's from his friend who's in the closet right now being like, yo, can I come out? And he says just 30 more seconds because they've been waiting for a couple minutes now. And then after a little while, he sends a text to his friends like, okay, you're clear. So the friend comes out. They decide to play a couple more games, but they're already kind of on edge because of the whole situation that just went down. So they run through some more games and then, they decide like, okay, we're probably good at this point. Like, he was kind of feeling a little off, the subscriber was feeling a little off, and they're like, okay, maybe you should just go home at this point. Like, it's like 12, like my parents will be back soon anyways. Like, thanks for coming over, basically, but it's time to go. Because the exit wasn't going to be the easiest thing either, because, right, I mean, he had to get out of the, he had to come out the same way that he came in, right? He can't just go downstairs and exit through the front door. So he, he goes over to the window and it's open and he looks at the tree and he kind of like turns to his friend. He's like, that looks farther away than I imagined, right? Than I remembered. And the subscriber's like, no, it's like, if anything, it's it's easier to get out than to get back in. And the friend's like, okay, that's fair enough. And so the friend, he goes over, kind of leans out and gets onto the tree and makes his way down. And the subscriber's just kind of watching, just kind of a little nervous. And on the way down, he hits a false branch and like a bunch of like branches break. And he doesn't fall that far. He doesn't actually get hurt or anything, but enough branches break that it makes a decent noise. And the subscriber kind of like falls like 3 or 4 feet, right? And so, not the subscriber, the friend does. And the subscriber's looking outside like, oh, shoot, oh, shoot, oh, shoot, oh, shoot. And the friend is like, kind of like panicking a little bit. So then like the friend just kind of runs out of the yard. And the subscriber's like, okay, that was a really close call, but I think we're good. Turns out the babysitter happened to be in the kitchen making herself like a thing of tea or something. She was in the kitchen for some reason, and the kitchen is right above his bedroom, and there's a big window, and the tree is in front of the kitchen window. So she was sitting there, heard a crash, saw someone fall out of the tree and run out. Subscriber's there. He hops onto some like solo games on his Xbox, and then he hears, thump, 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 like steps up the stairs, and he's like, no way she knows. And sure enough, he hears a knock on the door, and he's like, yeah, what's up? She's like, hey, can I come in? And he's like, yeah, yo, what's up? She's like, yeah, just let me in. He kind of knew by that tone that things were not going to be good. And she opens the door, and she says, hey, like, you can't have people over. And he's like, yeah, I didn't. She said, don't lie to me. He's like, I'm not lying to you. And she said, okay, why did I see someone fall out of the tree and run away from your room? And he just looks at her like, this no response. And she says, okay. Fortunately, when the parents come back, the babysitter explains what happens because, that's her job and everything. There's no reason for her to lie. And yeah, this kid gets grounded for 2 weeks, not like 2 weeks in total, like from add 1 week onto his last week, 2 weeks, like adding on to his already 1 week of being grounded. So that's unfortunate for him, but it is what it is. Subscribe. And after you've done that, go watch an old video. Easy way to do that is Storytime playlist. In today's subscriber story, this babysitter who seemed to be normal at first turns evil incredibly quickly. I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets so bad that the police get involved. Enjoy the story. So this story happens when the subscriber who sent in the story was 12. And he also had a younger brother, and his younger brother was 10. And this was a Friday night, the night that this all went down, right? So he was old, like 12 is getting old, right? You can fend for yourself a little bit at least. But he was still not really at the point where his parents were 100% comfortable leaving him for the house and taking care of his little brother for, many hours at a time. Maybe in a year's time or even like 6 months' time, they would have considered it. But at this point, they were like, you know what? We're still going to have a babysitter at least for a little bit longer. Subscriber, it wasn't totally thrilled at the time because, when you're 12 or 13, you're starting to be, you're starting to feel like you're a big kid, right? And you don't want to have a babysitter anymore. But there wasn't really anything he could do, right? He's still living, at his parents' house under their control. If they want a babysitter, man, they're getting a babysitter. So the parents this Friday night had a pretty big party that they were going to, and they were going to be out till like 12, maybe even 1 in the morning, and they were leaving at like 6. So they were going to be gone for a decently long amount of time. Maybe if they were gone for like an hour or two, or maybe they were closer, maybe they would have considered not having a babysitter. But for this event specifically, and also because the guy just wasn't old enough yet, they decided to hire a babysitter. So the subscriber and his little brother are kind of just waiting around, and his parents are all ready to go. And, it's about like 10 minutes before they're going to go. They're getting all like, they're dressed, they're like getting the money ready to pay the babysitter in advance, right? All this good stuff. And they hear a ring at the door. So the little brother and the subscriber, they walk down and they see their mom talking to the babysitter. And she kind of seems like she's normal, whatever. No like immediate red flags. There was a massive one, but they didn't see it. Anyways, right, so the babysitter comes in, she introduces herself, and her name is Cassidy, but we might just call her the babysitter. Her name isn't actually Cassidy, I just wanted to give her a name, and maybe I'll refer to her as babysitter or Cassidy, we'll see. So while the parents are still there, and also while the parents are still in earshot, Cassidy the babysitter is like, hi kids, like my name's Cassidy, we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight, like I also know like that you're a little older, speaking to the subscriber, so I'll let you have a lot of control of what we do. I'm just here to make sure that everything is normal, right? She was acting like a totally normal and a super good babysitter. Subscriber's like, oh well, I mean, we have like frozen pizza in the the refrigerator. It'd be cool if we could microwave some of that or heat it up in the oven. And then there's a movie I really wanted to watch with my younger brother anyways. So if you wanted to just hang out with us while you're doing that, like we don't even mind if you're on your phone the entire time. Like that's totally cool. And she says, oh, thank you guys. Like, tonight sounds like it'll be pretty good. And the subscriber and his little brother were kind of thinking to themselves, yeah, this is going to be a chill night. This is going to be a solid Friday night. Like, I'm kind of excited. Let me just say, it was not a chill Friday night at all, but we'll get to that. Give me a sec. Anyways, right, so the parents are finally done getting ready. So they go to the door and they go to like Cassidy and they give her like $20 in advance. They're going to pay her like 30 for the night, but they're like, we'll give you 20 now and 10 when we get back. They did have a lot of faith in her, but they just, that's just kind of like something they did. The parents turn to the subscriber and they're like, bye, have fun tonight, guys. Like, we'll be back soon. Like, if you need anything, use the house phone to call us, right? Unfortunately, these guys did not have their own cell phones because their parents were like not a fan of giving kids cell phones at that young of an age. And I didn't get a cell phone for a very long time, so I kind of agree. Anyways, right, so the door closes and the subscriber notices that the babysitter's kind of watching the parents like through the window and watching them like drive away instead of kind of like immediately, because like why would she care about that, right? But anyways, he didn't think much of it. So he kind of like went to his little brother and he went through like the movies because they still at this point, like there were still like DVDs. I mean, I still have DVDs now, but like he was going through the DVDs trying to figure out like where the one he was looking for, right? So he finds the DVD and he like puts it to the side and he notices that the babysitter has been completely silent, right? She was kind of like bubbly, full of energy, really nice, like while the parents were there. But after watching the parents leave the driveway, she almost went dead silent because she was on her phone focused. And she was like typing away. She was like typing up an essay on her phone. Or it turns out she was typing to a lot of different people. So all of a sudden the babysitter is like done typing on her phone and she looks up at both of them and she says, "All right, go to bed." And they're just looking at her like, "What? What do you mean go to bed?" And she's like, "Yep, go to bed, like it's time." And they're like, and the older kid, the subscriber's like, "Our bedtime isn't usually till like 10, right? So it's 6:30 right now. Like what?" And she's like, "No, go to bed." And they're just like, "Are we gonna have dinner?" She said, "Nope." And they're just completely confused at this point. They're just like, okay, because like they were obviously like they weren't happy with what was happening. They weren't necessarily trying to get in a fight with this babysitter when she was like the clear adult and their parents were not home and like they were the only ones home alone. So they were just like, "Okay, can we make Nope." And they're just like, "Oh, okay." Okay. So the subscriber looks at his younger brother, who is very confused, and it's just kind of looks at him like a little nod to like come upstairs. So the little brother comes with him, right? And they go upstairs, and the older brother, the subscriber, is just like to his younger brother, like, "Dude, I have no idea what's going on. Like, give me a second. I'm gonna try and figure this out." And the younger brother's like, Why is she saying we should go to bed? It's not our bedtime." And the older brother's like, "Dude, I know. Like, I don't know what's up." And he looks downstairs, right? So they have like a stairway that kind of like creeps around. So he can like kind of like creep down a little bit and like peek around to see what's going on. And he sees the babysitter on her phone frantically texting again. So he's like, "Who is she texting? Why is she acting all weird right now?" All of a sudden, the subscriber's little brother noticed that they hear a noise and they hear a knock at the door. And they're like, "Oh, thank God it's our parents, right? Our parents are finally back. Like, we can explain to them, like, why, like, that we're, like, forced to go to bed at 6:45 instead of, like, 10, and also how we didn't get any dinner, right? And they'll clear this whole thing up, right?" So they kind of, like, look around, and they start to walk down the stairs because they're very confident that it's their parents, and then they completely stop in their tracks, and they kind of backtrack and, like, scuttle back up the stairs as quick as they could and as quietly as they could because... Was it their parents at the door? I'll give you a hint. No, it wasn't. It was some random, like, shaggy-looking dude who was, like, 22 and was, like, a little sketchy, and they're just like, "Oh, my God, who is in our house?" Pause. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Okay, play. So they kind of like run back up the stairs as quietly as possible. And then the subscriber is kind of like nods to his brother like to be quiet for a second, and he listens. And the guy's like, "Oh, yeah, what's up?" He's one of those guys, right? So he's like, "Oh, like this tonight's going to be so crazy," to the babysitter. The babysitter's like, "Yeah, like it's going to be like a wild night." And the dude's like, "Aren't you babysitting some kids?" And she says, "Yeah, don't worry about it. I told them to go to bed." And the dude's like, "It's like 6:45. Like, really?" And she said, "Yeah, they just did it. It was great." And at this point, this subscriber's starting to realize what's happening, right? He's like, "Oh, wow. This babysitter is going to take over this house to try and throw a party." So the subscriber and his little brother, they kind of like go back to their room, or because they share rooms, like bunk bed or whatever. And they're just kind of sitting down like, what do we do? And they talk to each other. They're like, okay, we could try and call our parents, but we need to go downstairs to get the home phone and we're going to get caught. We could also, we don't know what else to do, right? We could also just stay up here and hope for the best. But this is a very uncomfortable situation, to say the least. And then they hear a noise from outside. So they both run up to the window because they have a window that like looks outside, and it looks outside to the driveway. And they see another car pull up. And after the car's lights go off, they see 4 doors open. Both the driver, the passenger, and the 2 back doors open. Just see 5 people spill out of the car and walk towards their house. And the subscriber's like, dude, this isn't going to be like some like little gathering that this babysitter's having at our party or at our house. This is going to be a massive rager party. Unsupervised, like things are going to get destroyed, right? And she's just going to blame it on us. So the subscriber and his little brother are literally just watching at the window for like 10 minutes as they see 2, 3, 4 more cars pull up, all packed with people. At this point, there's like 40, 45 people they assume who have entered the house. And they can hear it downstairs. You know, kind of like the ambiance of a party of like a bunch of people talking, but you can't really hear individual conversations. But it's just kind of like that buzz noise of like talking. It was that very clearly. They could hear it downstairs. It was like a massive party was going on because a massive party was going on. His secret word is party. So if you made it this far into the video, I would like you to go in the comment section and comment party. I just want to see how many people made it this far into the video, as I appreciate the watch time. And 2, I will also heart as many of those comments as I can. So if you want to farm some hearts on the channel, comment heart party down below. And yeah, back to the story. So the subscriber's younger brother decide to kind of like sneak downstairs. They don't go all the way downstairs, but they go down the staircase, and they're able to look into like the living area place. And what they see is just so many people. And these people are not like, sometimes like parents will have parties and everyone's like all sophisticated and very like well kept together. No, this was like a degenerate like teenage party, right? It was like the lights were like down low. People were like yelling and screaming. They saw like some stuff knocked over and broken. They saw spills on the carpet already of like some drinks and stuff. It was just a bad time. Then all of a sudden they start hearing music, and they notice that the babysitter herself brought in this big speaker and started blasting music. Like it was so loud. And obviously everyone at the party was like, yeah, whatever, right? And then like they just kind of creep back upstairs like, there's no way that people don't hear this. Like our neighbors probably think my parents are having some stupid rager, right? And they just go back upstairs, and they just kind of feel defeated. They're like, we can't get downstairs because we're going to be caught and sent back up here. And maybe we'll have some more of a punishment because we don't know if this babysitter is capable of, right? Anyways, probably at their lowest point when the subscriber and his little brother are just sitting in their room, listening to like party music like bounce, listening to like things break, listening to like kids just be crazy, right? They're just like sitting there like, dude, what are we gonna do? And it's like, as the younger brother said that to the subscriber, they see this blue light flashing behind them. They're just like, what is this? Did they like bring in some kind of strobe light or something? But the light was not coming from downstairs. The light was coming from outside. It was a red and blue kind of flashing like that. And then they realize, oh, that's a police car. Scramble to the window to see, the police car. And the police car pulls up into their driveway, and 2 officers get out of the car. So then they go as quickly as they can and as quietly as they can to the top of the stairs, and they look down, and then they look down at the door, and they hear a firm knock. And the babysitter is the one who goes to answer the door, as she assumes it's another one of her friends. She opens the door and is greeted by 2 officers. Someone else in the party notices what's going on, turns off the music, and like signals to everyone that it's time to go. And their house had like a back doors, like had a backyard. So there's an exit in the backyard. So everyone started funneling out of the house through the backyard, and they all started hopping the fence, running through their neighbor's yard. So what had actually happened was the neighbor next to them was a couple of a husband and a wife. And the husband went to the party with the parents, but the wife wasn't feeling as good. But she knew that the parents were at this party. So when she started hearing all this loud noise and seeing all the cars in their neighbors, like in their friends' like parking lot, they were like, something's really up. And when they heard it keep going and getting louder and louder, they called a noise complaint. So the babysitter's at the front door. All of her friends have run from the house out the back door. And the two police officers are just looking at her like, all right, we're here. What's the explanation? What's the magical explanation that's going to get us to turn away and make this all good again, right? I hope you have one. However, another car pulled up into the driveway, right? And that was the car of the parents. Apparently, the neighbor had not only called a noise complaint, but had also called the parents about what happened. So they're back, and they're just like, officer, why are you here? Like, what's happening? Why are there so many cars in the front yard? And well, the babysitter had a lot of explaining to do. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you want to support the channel, watch another story. There's some on screen right now. Also, Storytime playlist, top link in the description. Bye. In today's story, the subscriber has probably one of the worst encounters with a babysitter of all time. Enjoy. Well, let's call this subscriber Ryan, right? So Ryan's a good kid, right? He's getting a little old for a babysitter at this point, and it's where his parents just don't totally trust him at home. But Ryan is kind of like, Mom, like I'm fine. It's fine, whatever, right? And this is definitely a time where like this will probably be maybe Ryan's last time with the babysitter. And let me just say that this was quite the way to go out. Quite the way to go out with like the last hurrah. This was quite the last hurrah. Anyways, right? So the mom is like, hasn't gotten Ryan a babysitter in a while because they just haven't really gone out to anything or needed one. So she was like, okay, where do I find one of these babysitters, right? So she goes to like, I don't know, a Facebook group or something. Dude, at this point, man, I don't even know where she goes, but she goes to like some kind of like random like local thing to try and find someone. And she finds someone who like, she's never met before, even though they're pretty active like in their town or whatever. But, she meets this like random person and like, the mom's like, oh yeah, my daughter will happily babysit for you. And, for some reason, right, in retrospect, Ryan's mom was a little suspect about it. That's at least what she told him, like, after the fact. But since it was only a gut feeling, she just was like, you know what, I'm just being stupid. Like, obviously, this person's fine. Like, what am I talking about? They're on Facebook, whatever. If you find someone on the internet, everyone on the internet's perfect. There's not a single sketchy person on the internet. That is a fact. No, but, in all honesty, like, go with your gut, man. Like, your gut will sometimes tell you something that, like, you can't even figure out yourself. Like, we've been programmed. We've had, like, thousands of years of evolution, and there's some stuff that just is like, we can't explain it, but you gotta trust it. Anyways, right, so Ryan's parents are going to like a party or something, and Ryan's mom gets in contact with the babysitter. She seems chill enough, right? She seems fine. She doesn't seem like an absolute crazy psychopath, which she kind of turns out to be, and you'll see in a second what happens. But anyways, right, she comes over, and it's the first interaction with the babysitter. The mom is, once again, something just feels a little off. Like, there's nothing apparent, and that's the thing. She can't be like, turn around, like, we're actually not going out. I mean, she could. It's a free country. You can do what you want, right? But she's kind of just like, something feels a little weird. Something feels a little strange here. And Ryan didn't get any of these vibes. Apparently, this is just what his mom said after the fact. But apparently, his mom was a little sketched out by her, but it was a last-minute pick. They honestly, like, they just couldn't find anyone else if they wanted to. Like, they really just simply couldn't. And so Ryan's like, okay, like, she seems fine, whatever, Mom, like, it's cool, I can kind of take care of myself. And she's like, I know, but this might be the last time, sweetie, right? And they're like, all right, here's my number to the babysitter, and the babysitter, who we'll just call babysitter, because I don't feel like coming up with a name, man. I'm tired. Anyways, right, and the babysitter's like, all right, like, this will be fine, like, I've done this a lot before, don't even worry about it. When are you getting back? And she, like, really, like, she said it in a weird way, and Ryan's mom should have known at that point that something was a little off. And she's like, probably like 1. It's going to be pretty late. There's a chance we get back earlier, but probably not. We'll be out pretty late. The babysitter's like, nice. And that was just kind of a weird response. Like, dude, why would you care? I mean, I guess you guys will see in a second. I'm not going to spoil it, man. I'm not going to spoil these stories. So parents leave. And, at this point, Ryan has just received a phone for the first time. Like, he got it like a month ago or something. And she looks at him. And she's like, Ryan, if anything, if you need us, you have our number. And, that actually came really in handy. I'm not going to spoil it anyways, right? So the babysitter and, the parents leave. Ryan and the babysitter just chilling in the room. The babysitter's like, hey, like, you look pretty old. So I'm going to kind of let tonight be up to you. If you just want to, like, hang out for a second, then, like, go off and do your own thing in your room, that's totally cool. And Ryan's like, yeah, like, okay, that sounds pretty good. Like, I'm glad you kind of get it that, like, I'm pretty old. Like, I don't need this, right? And she's like, yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Do you want dinner? He's like, no, I already got dinner. And she's like, okay. And she's like, you know what? Honestly, if you just want to go off into your room now and, like, never come down again, I'm not going to say anything. Like, that's totally fine. And Ryan was like, oh, okay. Ryan's like 13 at this time. So he's kind of old for a babysitter, but, like, not, like, ridiculously old. He's not like 15 or, 20 or 40 living with his parents and he gets a babysitter or something. That's totally realistic and happens. Anyways, right? He's like, yeah, okay, that sounds pretty cool. So Ryan, he goes upstairs and, he goes upstairs, maybe whips out his Xbox, maybe playing some Minecraft, maybe watching some YouTube videos. I don't know, dude, right? So Ryan's just chilling in his room, right? He's just doing his thing, and he hears a car outside. And a lot of times you might hear a car outside, but it's honestly just like someone driving by. Maybe they're pulling in just to pull in to like kind of like go around. I don't know if you've ever done that, but sometimes you'll pull into someone's driveway to like get a good angle to turn the other way. So when he heard someone pull into his driveway, he didn't really think anything of it until he looked outside his window because he didn't hear them pull away, and he noticed that someone got out of the car, and he's like, okay. So when he goes out his window, he sees someone get out of the car, and he's just like a little weirded out. He's like, okay. And the person walks into his house, and he's just like, okay, like stranger danger. And, the person comes in and he hears the babysitter greet them at the door. But it's not the greeting at the door like, who are you? It's greeting at the door like, oh, my friend, right? Like, oh, my friend, welcome, all that kind of nonsense. I don't know how you greet your friend. Anyways, right? It was obvious that they knew each other. And he's like, oh, okay, the babysitter's having a friend over. That's fine. I'm not going to tell my parents, whatever, right? And if it was just one friend or maybe even two friends, Ryan would have been chill with that. Like, he gets it. But what's about to happen is something he doesn't get. And really, you'll see. So Ryan is just sitting in his room. He's just on Xbox or playing Minecraft or, I don't know, farming Bitcoin. I don't even know at this point, right? And he's just kind of chilling there. And then he keeps hearing cars pull in. And at first, he kind of just thinks that, like, okay, she's having another friend over. It is what it is. But he starts to realize that this is not one friend. This is not two friends. This is not even three friends. This is like an entire town driving into his driveway. This is like the entire population of the United States of America is entering his house and probably not just going to like be courteous and like, I don't know, have a nice civilized tea party or something. This is probably about to be a rager. And it's definitely not, approved by his parents. And I'm sure if his parents knew, like, that'd be bad. And at this point, he's like, all right, maybe this won't be bad. Maybe everything will be just okay. Well, Ryan was lying to himself. Ryan was coping super hard. So he's just kind of like, playing Minecraft or whatever. And he's like, okay, I hear a lot of people down there. And he's like, okay, whatever. It's fine. He kept telling himself that, whatever, like, it's fine. And then he hears something shatter. He's like, oh boy. He's like, okay, I got to go down. I got to see what's happening. I got to do some investigative research or whatever, right? Like, I got to go down and figure out what's going on. So he goes down the stairs and he finds the babysitter, and she's like with this dude next to this broken lamp. And the guy's like, oh, bro, so sorry about it. Wasn't even paying attention. The babysitter's like, haha, like, sorry about this. And the Ryan's like, dude, I didn't know you're going to have a party. And she's like, well, yeah, your parents aren't coming back for a while. And he's like, can you maybe not have this? Like, I don't mind if you just go on your phone or watch TV or whatever. Because when you're a babysitter, it's easy GG claps for most of your stuff. If you have to babysit like a 3-year-old, that's unlucky. But like a lot of times, you send the kid to bed and then you just sit there and you farm money while watching TV or going on your phone. Like, oh my God, it's that easy. I know it's harder than that. Don't go off in the comment section. But he was like, dude, like, you can't just have a party here. And she kind of looks at him. And this is when he realized that this girl is like sketchy, bro. He's like, and she's like, what are you going to do about it? Tell your parents? Are they here? And he's like, hey, yo, like, whoa, hold on a second. She said, you know what? I think it'll just be better if you go up to your room. Just follow the agreement we had before. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. And he was like, okay, all right, I'll go up to my room. Okay, and at this point, he's like, what? Secret word is lamp, so if you made it this far into the video, comment lamp. I just like to see how many people made it this far. It makes me feel good when I see a bunch of comments saying lamp. It also confuses people who don't give me that sweet watch time, which I really do appreciate. By the way, sorry if I didn't heart as many comments in the last couple days. One, been a ton of comments, which is awesome. Thank you very much. And two, I was actually out for New Year's with some friends. And yeah, so my fault for like hearting 1.5 comments total. On the drive back, I got to a lot of them, but I no guarantee that you'll get a heart, but I'll do my best to do as many as I can. And yeah, back to the story. But do comment lamp. Also, leave a like for literally nothing. You're welcome. So, Ryan goes back to his room, and he's a little mad because he's like, oh my God, this babysitter's like actually the worst, right? LOL, like that sucks. But he goes back, and he's just like, okay, this can't get worse, right? More people show up. It's no longer just the population of the United States of America in his house. It is the global population plus the 3 aliens that live in Mars, right? It is the whole galaxy's population in his house. More people start pulling up. It's just like they have to start parking on the street. Like, this is insane, dude. And he just like, it gets louder and louder. Then someone starts playing music. He's like, dude, you cannot be serious, man. You cannot be serious. I have neighbors. I live in a neighborhood, right? This is not a frat basement. Oh my God. It starts getting really, really, really loud. Like whatever you thought the loud was, like whatever you were envisioning the volume to be is an understatement. Double that. It was crazy, right? So at this point, he's like, okay, the cops are definitely coming to my house. Or the cops will come tomorrow to my house. Like, we have definitely gotten like 15 noise complaints already. Like, this is insane. And so he eventually is like, oh my God, it's so loud. Like, I'm gonna sneak down. I'm not gonna confront the babysitter because she's obviously like gone off the rails. Like, there's no use talking to this person at this point. I just want to see how bad the damage is. So he walks down the stairs, and his face just goes white because it's even worse than he thinks. He walks down the stairs. The music is blasting. People are everywhere. People brought like food. They brought drinks. It was like a full-on party. And the thing is, people are treating his house like a frat basement. I don't know how many guys have ever been to like a fraternity basement, but let me just say, oh my God, it is the most disgusting place ever. Like, honestly, I think every just disease in the history of in the entire universe has been concocted, grown, fermented, and spawned in like some kind of frat basement. And they were treating it like a frat basement at this point. Like, it was just spills everywhere. Empty cans, instead of like trying to find a trash, were just on the ground. Because people coming here knew that this wasn't the babysitter's house. They just thought it was like a random house, and they just didn't care. Probably the babysitter even said, guys, this is my house. I don't care how it's left. Which I don't know how she didn't think, any of this would catch up to her. She really did think that like, oh, when I'm done babysitting, I'll just leave and I'll never see these people again, which is like completely brain dead, but whatever, man. So the kid, he's just walking around. Ryan, man, he's literally walking around, and people are like, what's up, little dude? Like, how'd you get in? And he literally responded, this is my house. And the guy's like, oh, nice. Like at this point, dude, he was like, what? This is my house, man. This is my actual house. Like, you don't understand. Like, someone's like, oh, can I see an ID? Like, oh, you're definitely getting out. The bouncer's told, name 5 brothers, bro. Name 5 brothers. Like, this is my house, dude. This is my actual house. Anyways, right? The thing that really brings Ryan over the edge, the thing that really just makes him tilted beyond tiltability, that's a word now. The thing that really just, boils his blood at this point. You know what that is? He goes into like, the main room or whatever, right? His living room or whatever, right? And he sees like the main table. There's like normally some stuff on this table. Like there's some books, there's like little things, right? It's a table that had like some stuff on it, right? That stuff was all on the ground somewhere. And you know who was like on top of the table, dancing on the table? The babysitter, dude. Ryan has told me he's never been more tilted in his life. He said that was a point where he was just like, oh my God. And he's just like, he storms up to his room because he realizes that he doesn't have any power in this situation. He's 13, dude. What is he going to do? Fight these people? Force them out of the house? And he's sitting in his room just molding at this point. He's so mad. And he realizes like, oh my God, wait a minute, I can do something. And he, goes over, He picks up his phone, and his phone is like very limited, but he has his parents' number. He calls his parents, and his mom's like, "Hi, Ryan, like, how's everything?" And he explains, okay, he doesn't take 10 minutes to explain what happened, like the story. He gives like a 30-second rundown. His mom is silent, and she's like, "We'll be there in 10." So Ryan just like sits at his window, and he's kind of on his phone, whatever. He's maybe on Instagram or playing Flappy Bird or whatever you did back in the day. And right, he's sitting there just waiting for his parents to show up, because this is gonna be a mess, but he's gonna love it because he's not in the wrong. And he's waiting there, and he sees his parents pull up, and they can't even pull up into their own driveway, dude. Like, there's no parking, so they park on the side of the road. And his mom is just like, his mom doesn't go in. His mom sits in the car. And his dad, like, Ryan's dad is a big guy. Ryan's dad is a little scary. Like, totally loves Ryan. They have a great relationship. But Ryan's dad's a little scary. And, you know, Ryan just, like, goes up to his door, kind of, like, goes out, turns around the corner just to listen. And he hears the door slam open. And he hears his dad yell, "Everybody out!" And you just hear people rush out. People are just rushing out at this point. And his dad is just screaming. He's like, "If any of you are still in here in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to pound you all in the face." And he was a big dude, right? Like, it wasn't like some small little guy like, "I'm going to fight you, man. I'm going to fight you." No, this was a big dude. And you know what Ryan's mom was doing the whole time? She was basically building a case, man. She had her phone out. She was filming everything. She was filming the people running out of the house. She was filming the cars. She eventually went in and filmed the whole house, right? And she sent it to the babysitter's mother over Facebook or whatever. And basically what ended up happening was, in return for not, like, calling the police on her daughter, the babysitter's mom basically forced the babysitter to, like, pay, like, I think it was like $750 or like $1,000 for, like, damages. And that was probably about what it actually was. And also the babysitter was, like, apparently, like, grounded. I mean, to be fair, they had no idea if, like, this was actually enforced, but wasn't, like, allowed to, like, see friends. In today's story, the subscriber has the nastiest babysitter on planet Earth. Enjoy the story. So let's give the subscriber a name. Let's call him Johnny, right? So Johnny's like 8, maybe 9, whatever. He's a kid, and, you know, his parents are going out. Johnny's parents want to have fun, as parents do. You can't only do taxes. Oh my God, I got to do my taxes. Anyways, right, so Johnny's only 8 or 9 or whatever he is, and, you know, his parents, they don't think he can can't hold down the fort. He can't do it by himself. I know for a fact when I was 8, I wasn't allowed to, you know, man the ship by myself, man. Like, 100% understand. So the parents, they decide that, you know, it's time for them to get a babysitter. So they look on Facebook, they look up in Facebook groups, or I don't use Facebook, dude, I don't know. But anyways, they somehow find this Facebook this babysitter, right? She's local. You know, good girl, good babysitter, whatever, I don't know, right? Whatever the description is, like, I can, you know, function. I don't know what the qualifications to be a babysitter are. Anyways, right, let's call this babysitter Barbara, right? So Barbara, the parents say, they call her over. They say, "Yeah, we'll give you $20 for the night. We'll be gone from like 6, and we'll be back at 11. You can just, like, you know, his bedtime is at 9. And after that, feel free to just sit there, watch television, and get paid for watching television." That was one thing I always, like, you know, thought the babysitters kind of had like a racket going, because most of the time they would just watch TV with me, and they would be on their phone, and they get paid anyways, right? So, you know, the parents are getting ready, and they know the kid, what's his name? Johnny, right? Good old Johnny, right? He's probably playing, you know, some video games, some good old Lego Star Wars, just a game you should be playing, right? Lego Star Wars, 10 out of 10, perfect game. Anyways, right? So, you know, Johnny, he hears a ring at the doorbell. And he hears parents, you know, walk down the stairs, and he hears his mom being like, "Oh, Barbara, thank you so much for making it tonight." And yeah, you know how that goes, right? You know how that goes. And Johnny's like, "All right, babysitter's here, is what it is." And Johnny's not a menace. Johnny's a good kid. He's not going to be a menace to his babysitter. He knows she's only human too, right? He's not one of those kids who, you know, tries to ruin the life of every babysitter that, you know, he has. And eventually, right, so, you know, Johnny's kind of just in his game. He's in the middle of one of those Lego Star Wars maps. He's probably trying to get one of those impossible canisters you can just never reach. Anyway, so he's just playing his little video games, and he hears his mom, and his mom goes, "Johnny, come and meet your babysitter. Come down now." So, you know, he pauses the game, walks down the stairs, and sees Barbara. Barbara seems like a normal-looking teenage girl. Very normal, very upstanding citizen, has not, committed massive felonies, right? Just a normal person. And yeah, he doesn't really see anything coming, right? Johnny just thinks this is gonna be a normal day. Normal, babysitter, come in, come out, like watch some television, go to bed, wake up the next day, it is what it is. And let me just say that Johnny was, well, he was very wrong. So, the parents, they go back upstairs and, they're just finished getting ready to go to their whatever they're doing, right? Whatever depraved thing they're doing. And never mind, right? So, the Johnny and the babysitter, they talk to each other a little bit. It's that little awkward moment when you first meet someone. You're just having like very basic conversation, but it's someone that you really can't relate to. Like Johnny's not going to relate to the babysitter, and the babysitter for sure is not going to relate to Johnny. So the babysitter's like, "Hi, Johnny, what grade are you in?" "Oh, you're in, I don't know, second grade, first grade." What are 9-year-olds or 8-year-olds in? They're in like second grade, right? If I'm wrong, sorry, like unlucky, right? But she's like, "Oh, how is 8th grade going? Like, you having a good class? You having a good year?" Johnny was legitimately enjoying school at this point. He's having a good time. So he's like, "Yeah, having a pretty good time." And then Johnny's parents come down and they're like, "All right, thank you, Barbara, once again for coming. Call us if you need anything." Basic like rundown of like what you got to do, like giving her the number, saying this is what you got, the emergency exits are on your left, kind of the basic stuff that you ask. And yeah, the parents walk out the door into the car and off to their party, doing whatever they'll be doing. And Barbara's like, "All right, like, so the plan for tonight is, well, let's just eat first, and then we'll figure it out from here." And Johnny was like, "Okay, this could be a pretty normal night. Things should be pretty normal. Things will be pretty normal." I keep saying pretty normal because turns out things are not pretty normal in just a second. Anyways, right, so Barbara's like, "All right, Johnny, what do you want to eat for dinner, Johnny?" "Oh, well, what can we eat?" And Johnny's like, "You know what, normally babysitters, they make me mac and cheese." And she's like, "Oh, okay, mac and cheese, easy, right?" She whips out one of these pans, pots, I guess, not a pan. It puts water in it, starts to boil it. Very standard procedure. If you can boil water, then congrats, GG, better than me. Just kidding. I can boil water. Just took me a while. Guys. I'm sorry. Anyways, right, so everything is seeming normal up until this point. So the babysitter's kind of rummaging around the fridge because I think she wants to find like milk or something. Putting milk into your mac and cheese, I think that's a normal thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know, dude, right? Anyways, right, so she rummages around and then she finds this ketchup bottle. And she's like, "Have you ever had ketchup raw?" And Johnny's like, no. What? Babysitter just looks at him with these like wild eyes and just like opens up her mouth, sticks out her tongue, picks up the ketchup bottle, squeezes it, and then eats the ketchup raw. Just looks at her like, "Dude, what? Why? Why? And the babysitter just like looks at him and smiles and laughs. I guess this was the babysitter's idea of entertainment. I don't know about you, but my idea of entertainment was, Lego Star Wars, the classic, right? Maybe watching some SpongeBob season 1 through 4. It wasn't watching someone eat condiments from the refrigerator, but I don't know, man. Maybe we're different. I don't know. Anyways, right? So Johnny was just kind of weirded out. He's like, that's gross. And she's like, "Ha ha ha," right? Makes him the mac and cheese. So, gives him the, goes in the pan or pot or whatever, scoops some mac and cheese out, does a pretty good job, right? Plops in the bowl. Johnny's like, he's going away at that mac and cheese. He's like, "Oh, this is really good." And, he notices that, the babysitter, she's not eating anything. She's just kind of like watching him eat. And he's like, "Are you hungry? Are you hungry, ma'am?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm about to eat my dinner." And she goes into the refrigerator, right? Here's the thing, she probably ate before this and was just planning to put on like a show. Maybe she's like, thinks this is like what all kids are entertained by. I'll put down some money, not actually, but I'd bet, right, that she did this before, this little bit for some other kid, and the kid thought it was so funny, and she probably thought that every other guy felt the same way, that gross things are entertaining and hilarious, right? But Johnny was not a fan. But anyways, right, she goes ahead and she says, "This is my dinner." And she goes into the refrigerator and she's rustling around, and Johnny's in the back of his head like, if you pull out that ketchup again, man, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. And she pulls out a mayonnaise bottle. And man, I don't know why, but for some reason, mayonnaise just kind of grosses me out. Like, that's probably just me, but whatever, right? And she just like, she looks at Johnny. She's like, "This is my dinner." And I here's the thing. I what Johnny told me, because By the way, if you want to submit a story, it's to my Instagram in the description. Johnny said that this happened a long time ago, and in retrospect, he thinks she was just trying to like entertain him or whatever. But obviously, she was missing the ball and didn't realize that he was grossed out. Anyways, right? She's like, "This is my dinner, Johnny." Looks at him and just squirts some like mayonnaise or something on her tongue. And Johnny's like, "Why would you do that?" And she says she thinks that he's like so entertained and thinks it's so funny or whatever, right? So she's like, And apparently she had like a really good tolerance when it came to like gross stuff. I mean, obviously, if she's doing this and the stuff that gets much, much worse, which I'm about to get into, right? So she takes, after like the big thing of mayonnaise is on her tongue, she like, it just slurps it up. And he's like, "Poor kid, man. Honestly, poor kid. This guy, Johnny, upstanding citizen according to his mother, right? Whatever. Just wanted to have a good night. Just wanted to maybe have a babysitter over, maybe have a nice dinner, just watch some good television, man. Just maybe a good movie, maybe not the whole movie. Maybe that's too late, right? He can't stay up that late. He just wanted to have a good night. He just wanted to go to bed, man. He just wanted to have his big day tomorrow. But instead he gets this. His babysitter just, deep-throating some mayonnaise or something, dude. I don't even know. So Johnny just looks down at his food and decides to eat it as quickly as possible because he can already feel his appetite's going. He's actually very surprised he still has an appetite at this point. I mean, I'll be honest, I would not. But anyways, right, he's like, okay, I have like 1% of my appetite remaining. I don't want to go hungry, so I'm going to finish this as fast as possible. Scarfs down his mac and cheese. He looks up, and she's not doing anything weird yet. She's not doing anything strange anymore. She's just on her phone, as babysitters should be, get paid to sit there and do nothing. Pretty epic. Anyways, right, so he's like, okay, do you want to go watch a movie? And she's like, nah, let's have some fun, Johnny. And Johnny's like, okay. Johnny was a little worried because he realized that he had a very different sense of humor from this girl. He realized that she was just trying to entertain him or whatever, but yeah, he was pretty grossed out by that, and he's really hoping that her personality wasn't like being gross, thinking that like every guy would find that hilarious or whatever. He was really hoping that maybe she was like, maybe she wanted to go play Lego Star Wars with him, man. He started to convince himself. He started to, like, lie to himself. He's like, oh, maybe she wants to play Lego Star Wars with me. I need a second person to get that canister anyways. Nope, lies. It was bad. She turns to Johnny. She's like, Johnny, show me upstairs. Show me your room, whatever. And he's like, okay. So they walk upstairs, right? Johnny's thinking the night might be turning around. He's lying to himself, of course, right? He's like, oh, she's normal now. That was just a little hiccup, right? That was a little bump. And she's like, oh, is this your bathroom? And Johnny's like, yeah, there's a toilet and shower in there. It is my bathroom. Great observations. And she's like, oh. And she walks in there, and Johnny's like, why? And she's like, Johnny, come in. And he's like, okay. He just goes in there. He's a little curious. I mean, it is every guy's dream to be in the girl's bathroom. If you get that reference, you're an absolute legend. But anyways, right, so he goes in there, and she's like, you want to see something gross? And he's like, okay. And she's like, she goes over to the shower, goes to the drain. He's like, no, this cannot be happening. This cannot be happening. Wake up, Johnny. Johnny, wake up. Wake up. And she's like, look at this, Johnny. She goes and like starts to like screw the drain left. And when she like screws it a little bit left, she pulls it up, and on the drain is this big, long, tangly thing of hair. And he's like, oh no, she's gonna, maybe she'll like, maybe this is the gross thing, just showing me this. Like, this is definitely the gross thing. She's not gonna do anything worse. Like, Johnny, once again, lying to himself. He's got to learn to stop doing that, man. The coping is too hard. Anyways, he's like, she's just gonna stop here. This is the gross thing. Just showing me this. This is gonna be the gross thing. She's like, watch this, Johnny. Secret word of the video is hair. So yeah, if you made it this far into the video, comment hair down below. I won't be able to heart that many comments, but I will heart as many as I can. So comment hair if you made it this far. You might get a heart or something. I'll do my best. And yeah, back to the story. Real quick, doing a little channel member appreciation. I'm going to do this randomly in some of my videos. So if you want to like have a little shout out or whatever, hit that join button and just kind of comment on my videos and I'll randomly do it. But yeah, back to the video. Babysitter says, look at me, Johnny, look at me. And she holds in her hand, right in her left hand, she holds the top of the drain to the shower, and dangling down from it's like, oh, that gross hair or whatever, right? And she just looks at him. She says, look at this. She takes with her other hand and rips a little chunk of the hair, sticks out her tongue, and Johnny's like, no, don't, no, no. And yeah, she just takes a little chew, little crunchy chew of the hair. And Johnny's like, what? Why? Well, first, why? And then she chews and then swallows. And she's like, funny, right? No response. Johnny's gone. Johnny's left this planet, off to Mars. Babysitter, who thinks that he's like so amused or whatever, is like, all right, Johnny, let's go have more fun. Come with me. And Johnny's like, okay. Johnny just wants to go to bed this time. It's like an hour before his bedtime, but he's like, you know what? I'm tired. Maybe I should just go to bed early or whatever. And she's like, no, Johnny, come on, have some fun with me. So he goes down the stairs. She's like, Johnny, come with me. Look at this. And he's like, So they go outside, right? They're walking outside. And he's like, why am I outside? Stranger danger. And she's like, Johnny, we're looking for treasure. And he's like, I can get behind this, man. I like treasure hunting. This sounds kind of cool. Is the night turning around? And unfortunately, the babysitter and Johnny had different definitions of what treasure hunting was. So they're walking along the paths, and they stop by. They just stop for a second, and the babysitter's like, "Oh, look, treasure!" And Johnny, and she probably thinks this is so funny, right? Johnny's like, I don't see any buried treasure. He kind of thought for a second, I don't know, she set up some treasure hunt, or maybe they were looking. I don't even know, dude. I literally don't even know at this point. And he looks around, and the only thing he sees is a big pile of dog excrement, and he's like, I don't see anything. And she's like, silly, right under you. And he looks under her, and that's where the pile of dog excrement is. And he's like, I don't see it. At this point, the dog droppings have basically, animated themselves and are staring right back at Johnny, just like, yeah, you know who she's talking about. She's talking about me, baby. She's talking about me. She's gonna do something gross with me, baby. You're gonna have to watch. And she's just like, Johnny, I wonder what these smell like. And Johnny's like, they smell bad. Trust me, they smell bad. And she's like, Johnny, we don't know that. Let's find out. And Johnny's like, I know they smell bad. And then she goes down, and she just takes a big whiff. Johnny and the babysitter walk back to the house, and Johnny's very quiet, and she's like, I hope you had a fun night tonight. I hope you were entertained, Johnny. And Johnny's like, it was eventful, that's for sure. And the babysitter's like, well, I hope I wasn't too gross for you. And he's like, yeah, don't worry. No. She's like, yeah, because, your parents are going out next week, and they invited me over again. So maybe I can even one-up it, see if I can test your gross limits. And Johnny's just like, Mom. Anyway, so Johnny crawls in the bed, doesn't disturb the babysitter at all, because he's just terrified of her at this point, understandably, goes to bed, wakes up the next day, for a second thinks he just had a terrible, terrible, terrible nightmare dream, right? No, it was real. And he got up the next day, and his mom's like, hi, sweetie, how was your babysitter last night? And Johnny proceeded to tell you the story I just told you. And the mom, her face was just blank, and she said, all right, next week, we're getting a new babysitter. Subscribe if you haven't already, then watch another story video, or I don't know, you're bad. Bye.